Alameda County is 821 square miles of baylands, valleys, hills, and mountains. When it rains heavily, a lot of water can run off this area, and it's the job of the Alameda County Flood Control and Water Conservation District to protect Alameda County residents from flooding by these waters. The district was founded in 1949 at a time when we were convinced that our fine concrete and steel engineering could manipulate the earth as we desired without any adverse impacts. We moved rivers, covered creeks, changed shorelines, and replaced wetlands with cities.
Our engineering has produced a vast network of channels, pipes, and concrete culverts like this one. This network does a great job of moving floodwaters away from our cities, but many ecological processes that are important to the health of our environment have been disrupted.
Erosion control, sediment transport, natural water purification, and wildlife habitat are all examples of these natural processes disrupted by our early engineering. The Flood Control District is committed to an active, thoughtful plan to restore these natural processes so we can move ever closer to sustainability.
As we've come to understand the natural processes operating in the landscape, we've identified ways to maintain flood control in the county while enhancing the natural environment and at a cost lower than the old flood control model. To put these new approaches in context, it's important to understand the historical events that led to this new vision.
In 1950, and again in 1955 and 1958, Alameda Creek flooded through Fremont, causing tremendous amounts of damage. These events led to the funding and construction of the Alameda Creek Federal Project between 1965 and 1975 to dramatically increase flood protection for the area.
This channel is 200 feet wide with levees 20 feet high, and it's 12 miles long and channels floodwaters all the way down to San Francisco Bay.
These activities have kept floodwaters moving swiftly out to San Francisco Bay and have allowed commercial and residential land uses to flourish in the western part of Alameda County. However, this floodplain was created by erosion over millennia, and the delivery of sediment from erosion continues today, sometimes exacerbated by urban development.
Sediment collects in enormous quantities in certain places, as we can see here in this channel. This sediment would fill the channels and eliminate flood control capacity if it were not removed. Over the last several decades, the district has spent millions of dollars removing sediment from flood control channels.
And because these operations often require removing soil and vegetation from aquatic habitat, environmental regulations require the district to replace this habitat in other parts of the county. This adds significant cost to the desilting operations. In the Alameda County Strategic Vision, the Board of Supervisors has indicated that environmental stewardship, sustainability, and developing livable communities are important goals for the county. The Flood Control District is working to deliver this vision from concept to action in a way that benefits residents, businesses, and taxpayers in our region now and in the future.
Let's take a closer look at 5 locations where the Flood Control District is bringing environmental stewardship and sustainability from concept to action in collaboration with various partners in the county.
The largest of these efforts is located where Alameda Creek flows into San Francisco Bay in the Eden Landing area. Sedimentation in the tidal zone near the bay has reduced the capacity of the channel to carry floodwaters. The district is facing an estimated cost of $50 to $60 million to dredge the accumulated sediment out of the channel. But this is just a temporary fix because the channel will continue to fill with silt. To create a more sustainable system, the district has taken advantage of the large federal wetlands restoration program to design a channel modification that should prevent excess sediment from accumulating while also contributing to wetlands restoration. This plan requires strengthening of the existing inboard levee. With this stronger levee in place, the old levee will be open to the bay. Tidal currents will then sweep sediment out of the flood control channel and spread the sediment across the old salt ponds, building new wetland habitat, or send the sediment into the bay. Initial engineering studies suggest that the tidal currents will be fast enough to maintain the channel relatively free of sediment. In other words, the $50 million desilting project will now be conducted by natural processes, and at the same time, the county will be increasing the amount of important wetland habitat. In 2010, the district will test this idea in the old Alameda Creek channel, where sediment has also accumulated. By reestablishing the historic connections between the channel and the adjacent sloughs, natural tidal currents should remove sediment without the need for expensive desilting operations. This Alameda Creek project will also contribute to the county's strategic goal of creating livable communities by establishing the long-desired connection for the Bay Trail from the San Mateo Bridge to the Dumbarton Bridge.
As salt marshes grow, they remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, storing it as plant matter in soils. As a consequence, as we restore salt marshes, we are taking an important local step in the global effort to reduce the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere.
These marshes will also protect the county against the erosive impacts of sea level rise in the future. In addition to the loss of wetlands habitat and changes in sedimentation, our traditional engineering approaches to flood control have resulted in barriers to the historic salmon and steelhead runs in Alameda Creek. As stewards of Alameda County's natural environment, the district has been leading a collaboration of local, state, and federal agencies to restore steelhead trout to Alameda Creek. Over the last 10 years, this has led to the removal of 3 obsolete dams that prevented the natural migration of steelhead, including Niles Dam and Sunol Dam. Fish screens have been installed on the major water diversions to protect young fish from being flushed from the creek.
The district is also working on this flood control structure here in the channel, which has come to be known as the Bart Weir.
This facility is owned by the flood district, not BART. After some major winter storms, one can see steelhead return to Alameda Creek after spending a few years in the ocean. Unfortunately, they cannot migrate upstream to spawn because of this concrete structure. To complicate this situation further, just upstream from the weir is an inflatable dam operated by the Alameda County Water District. The Flood Control District and the Water District are collaborating to construct a fish ladder that will allow migrating steelhead to pass over the 2 facilities in the channel and continue their migration upstream. This project should be completed by 2011. Meanwhile, we watch for migrating fish. When they arrive, we safely capture them under the supervision of experienced fishery scientists and move them upstream and release them at a site where they can continue their migration. To assure timely detection of the steelhead, the district partnered with the Center for Ecosystem Management and Restoration to install a webcam at the Bart Weir. This solar-powered device transmits a wireless signal to a nearby county building, allowing team members to monitor for fish arrival using the internet instead of having to travel to the creek. Due to our efforts and those of our collaborators, we can report that in 2008, steelhead trout spawned in the Alameda Creek watershed for the first time in 50 years. Our stewardship efforts are also reflected in projects to restore streams and reduce erosion throughout the county. In Arroyo de la Laguna, along Foothill Road between Pleasanton and Sunol, the district partnered with several organizations to conduct a floodplain restoration project on land owned by the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission. In this area, significant bank erosion was occurring, causing trees to fall into the creek and contributing sediment that required costly downstream removal from the Alameda Creek flood control channel. This project used bioengineering practices developed by the Natural Resource Conservation Service to restore a functioning floodplain along 1,000 feet of the creek, reducing erosion and improving wildlife habitat and water quality.
Here in Castro Valley, a creek that was formerly buried in a culvert has been daylighted and integrated into the landscaping of the new library. The district is working to make environmental stewardship and sustainability a reality in Alameda County. As we modernize and maintain the flood control infrastructure in Alameda County, we're designing these facilities to work with environmental processes rather than subverting them. This new infrastructure will be more environmentally sustainable and more economically efficient. We're anticipating the impacts of climate change, including sea level rise and the need to restore salt marshes to store carbon.
As the Alameda County Strategic Vision notes, a healthy environment is a key to a healthy economy and a healthy population. The Flood Control District is excited to be part of the evolution of county governance towards sustainability, helping to achieve our future vision of Alameda County as one of the best places to live, work, and do business.